I expanding on that, a question I have for you is maximizing your Google ads. What are some of the biggest mistakes or most common pitfalls people make all the time?
Yeah. So I would say I want to like just tune back to what you're saying
Sure.
about like how stupid easy it is to roll out a campaign. And this, I just want to emphasize on the fact that there's so many people out there that are showing Google Ads is this, and we're giving away so much value, and it's gonna overwhelm. And obviously, the technique behind that is very likely. I'm just gonna overwhelm all the people right there. You can do it too. You can do it too. And then there's so much information overload. There you go. I need your help. It's basically a lead gen funnel, right? All the respect for those people out there. They're very solid guys in the web. But I figured if we just gonna pull that thing out, like it's gonna be simplicity. It's gonna be like, I personally really believe that most of the Facebook media buyers with their creative knowledge have the capacity of running let's say a highly profitable Google campaign with like only with 60 to 80% of its power or its capabilities. So basically you need very little to leverage as much as you can. And eventually you could use some extra advanced techniques, and you could layer, and you need to like craft new keyword combinations, and you have to keep on optimizing. I know, but I think we're moving into an age, and I think with Facebook, we're talking about the same kind of concept where AI is really taking over the targeting part of things. And back in the days, I've been doing this since 2008. You were like completely in the dark with manually targeting people with keyword combinations that were like 5-word long, like 5-word phrases, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was all, and you were covering, I don't know, we had campaigns that had, each ad group had over, I don't know, 5-6 keywords, but we had 1,000 ad groups in one campaign. And then you had all these single keyword ad groups. Is like unimaginable in terms of, it's nothing but simple.
Yeah, I remember when I first got my job, in an ad agency, when I got my first big job as director at Omnicom, they gave me the choice of either managing the Google team or the Facebook team. I looked at the Google team and it was 40,000 like row deep Excel spreadsheets of keywords, or Facebook, there was no boss and $1 million a day budget. And so now
visuals like, that's so sexy.
Oh yeah, 100% right away. Cause I was just like, there's no way I'm gonna ever, and now I can do it literally in the time it takes for a car to get to my house.
So I want to reduce that overwhelm. And I figured with obviously using AI tools such as ChatGPT, I think it's really straightforward. And I'm definitely not the first one who came up with this. This is obviously, it's a very logical way to approach these things. But again, the principles behind that, hey, make sure that you cover your bottom of funnel, because you don't want to see your competitors steal your prospect. I think that principle is leading in this whole course. You make sure that you cover those ends and then work your way up. Like basically generate some conversions. And then once you feed that campaign or feed that account conversions and more conversions, it's going to be easier to make another campaign work because Google's learning from that data. So yeah, that's organically paid, basically growing gradually. And I really tap into that other question you asked me, like, hey, what are some common pitfalls? Is that the gradual aspect, the consistently adding more, like, but slowly but steady. That is definitely, I think, the biggest contrast with what people have been used to when they're running Facebook ads. I've seen a lot of agencies, also just agencies that are doing Google on the side. It's just treating them like another Facebook ad campaign. So when they hit this threshold, stop this one. Or when they hit that threshold, refresh with a new set of ad copy. Or I don't know, like all the very just quickly changing things and touching the campaign so many times, it cannot sit still and develop itself. You have to treat it like a plant, I think. You could see it as a plant.
Yeah, no, I love that, because it's going to grow. It's going to get smarter. There is machine. There's a machine learning aspect to it. There is artificial intelligence. Yeah.
And I think what another pitfall would be is underestimating the simplicity behind things. So you could say, think about the end of the funnel and what kind of messaging people want to see when they're at the end of the funnel. Is it very clear that when you know that, for example, you know that your competitor is showing up as well, don't just write the same ad. Don't just do the same thing, because then you won't stand out. I think one of the nicest features that you have, the ad preview feature. And the ad preview feature is where you can basically type in the search keyword that that you want to show up to. And depending on the budget that you've set, it will show your ad, but at least they show the ads that are going to be shown. And then you can look at, hey, how much does my ad stand out compared to that? And I think a lot of people are like, especially back like the last 10 years, us Google Ads marketers are not that creative copywriters. Okay. So
yeah,
and that opens up that opportunity for the Facebook marketers who have been like playing with language, playing with hooks and CTAs in all kinds of ways. Yeah. Leveraging that, I think, is a huge benefit, but the impatience that Facebook media buyers have is the threat behind that I would be careful with.
No, I love that, because I say almost the exact same thing to Google folks that are coming into Facebook. It's just you learn how to speak a language and you want to talk in that way. But there are languages in the world, like, for instance, like you cannot translate English into German and say it in the same way because the vowels and the nouns all go in different spots. Like, it's very clear that you're not a native speaker. And when I see Google folks come into Facebook, they're not treating it with the same, like they're trying to be heavy DR marketers. And they're trying to say the copy is what's getting stuff going.
Buy now. This is the price. Please give away the price and all the details before people click.
There's a coach out there with his own program that's very high ticket, who teaches you how to be great at everything, even though his biggest claim to fame is being successful in a bull market. One of his things he teaches is DR copywriting. And it's just like the core of the way he teaches how to do Facebook and other copywriting is be as aggressive and disrespectful as possible, and then target your way down to people that want to do it. It's like, that's sort of, and Facebook is something different. And I love the idea of treat each discipline with the respect that it deserves, because they all have different capabilities and they're all built to do different things. And in my experience, I don't know how you feel about this, but Google, and to another extent, maybe Amazon, buyers tend to be really logical, great with, and the Facebook buyers that are really successful tend to be really great creative problem solvers. And I think it's a mindset. And when you find somebody trying to play another game, it just doesn't quite work. It's like you can see that there's something lost in translation there.
Yeah, I totally think. I think you're onto that point where exactly that. If you're used to play, I don't know, you guys call it soccer, we call it football.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So if you would like me to teach you soccer, but you think it's, for example, American football or it's rugby, there's different rules, there's different styles. Maybe it involves some object that you have to pass to the other guy. So there's similarities. It's on a pitch, it is on a line pitch, it's in a stadium, there's a lot of crowd, it's super popular, but there's still a lot of like different aspects to the game. And I think it's not necessarily that you will. Or I think there's another one. There's a, what would it call? There's a saying in Dutch, actually. I don't think it's going to be explained that well. So we can cut that one out. No, but it's about that if you have a great car, it doesn't make you a great driver, right?
Yeah.
There's this metaphor of, you know, what a good car looks like, what an engine looks like. An engineer sees this, like the technology behind all the things, but if you put him in a car itself, it doesn't necessarily mean that he knows how to drive. And I think when you run your numbers, I'm really good with numbers. I'm an analytical nerd. But if you let me loose in a Facebook ad, like in a Facebook ad campaign, I'd probably destroy everything. As in, I think this is not good, so based on these numbers, I would probably kill that. Or basically because I don't have the right frameworks. I haven't been taught the frameworks. And the problem with Google is, there are just a little bit, like there's not such a, I don't know, copy paste frameworks out there for Google. Yeah. It's really just run your numbers and look at this top down process of, wait, I see outliers in conversion rate, or I see outliers in profitability, or outliers in AOV, just in one or two metrics. And you just run your analysis, because the problem here is not necessarily the ad creative, it's the fact that the relevancy of the keyword is really high. But in the end, you're looking at the search terms. You are allowed to look at the trends behind each keyword that you've targeted. You know, you're literally selling this, I don't know, this Fitbit Charge 4. You're literally just selling that, okay? This is your product.
Yeah.
This is the pricing point. and somebody's searching for the Fitbit Charge 4, the black one, just this one that I'm wearing, and you have 200 clicks, are you going to pause that campaign because it's not relevant, or are you going to look at your landing page because you just can't convert it?
Yeah.
So the difference there is that you can say, okay, we're going to pause this until I figured it out, or you can use Google as a research platform to optimize your landers or your offer, because you're saying, hey, wait, ad preview shows that my pricing point is the same as all these others, and it's still getting the same click. So there must be something wrong with the offer on other sides. Like, it's not the price. What else is there? And that is the cool thing. I think you just run that same campaign. I don't know, you could even run it for $5 a day and then optimize it until you figured out what has been your bottleneck there, and then scale it back up again. That's one of those things that you can just use Google for on the side as a research tool before you try to warm people up and say, yeah, this is the newest, latest, perfect product, and you have warmed them up. But then your whole page is just not converting on the bottom of funnel because there's so many alternatives out there that are doing a better job.
No, I love that. It's about data integrity and figuring that out. I think that brings me to something we touched about earlier, but I'd love to just get your short view on it. Is just like understanding, is my Google Ads audience actually converting? Like, how to really understand this is the Google Ads issue, or this is Google Ads taking credit for things that are happening somewhere else, or this is something where it's a website problem, or how are you taking a look at identifying the pain point when something either looks too good or is soaking up a lot of spend and not really driving the bottom line?
Yeah, I think that those are multiple scenarios that you probably need to do. Like my favorite and my least favorite answer to all of these questions is it depends.
Of course.
And it's the most boring answer because everybody needs to be very what's it called, polarizing in their statements.
Of course.
ROAS. Yeah. Anyway, but so what I'd love to just go through a process of identifying and reduction, like the deduction and reduction. So what I would say is I would start relatively broadly and I would run a campaign for almost always a month at least. I don't say that I would not touch it anyway. Like, I would just commit to a period of 4 to 5 weeks, like full calendar weeks, so Monday to Sunday and go on. And then I would just gather data. And the data that I'm gathering is obviously on state level, on search term level, on ad level. There's going to be feedback that I'm getting from Google on that level. So you could say, hey, there's on this search term, we see these number of clicks. We see on that ad creative, that number of impressions and CTR. This is Google's favorite ad creative combination because you're feeding Google different headlines, different descriptions, and work your way from there. If there's no conversion at all, that is a possibility, right? But then it's very likely that the intent doesn't meet what people expect.
Yeah, there's like a lack of congruency there.
Yeah. It is very like in the unlikely event it doesn't convert at all. I would, first of all, like probably in the first week already, I want to just compare what my ads look like compared to the others. So it could be that you're, like I said in the previous example, like that your pricing point is way out of comparison. Okay, that's one very common issue. Second thing I would like to point out is that I see a lot of people underestimate is that the impact of running both Google as well as Amazon, because Amazon is taking up as soon as you're selling on Amazon, is automatically adding that keyword to their campaigns. And there they don't give a crap about profits. So they will just appear next to that keyword that you also booked, okay? Just assuming that's happening, then your offer needs to be different than that offer you've shown on Amazon, okay? You cannot get away with just, I don't know, a free shipping, for example. Prime users are used to getting that kind of service. Or they could, for example, they just value Amazon a lot. We've seen brands selling on Amazon and on Google, okay? Also on Facebook, very successful, 7, 8, 9 figures even. And we just saw that we had to accept that a CPA for a branded campaign was over $50, okay? That was like a very high compared to, let's say, an industry standard CPA. What we did to get that down, to make sure that the ad copy stood out, we made sure that the subscription model was emphasized on. We made sure that there were benefits for shipping, but also, for example, for first-time buyers, get that promotion in there to basically, yeah, steal or make sure that people are not also clicking on the Amazon ad, and you're losing a click and people buy on Amazon, which loses, basically you're losing your customer data, right? So you don't know where that money went. So that is a very interesting thing that I would like to point out. And that, coming back to the original question where you would say, hey, if that is not converting and you're not having competition from Amazon, then you rule out if it's the competition, if it's Amazon. And then third, it could be that also the search terms are too broad. Like, it's basically like we had, I think in our masterclass, we're using the example of that t-shirt brand.
Yeah.
And t-shirt brand is, if you're just adding t-shirt in that keyword as a broad, Google can just say, oh, you know what, I'm just also going to add in Zara t-shirt. Could be. So be sure that, especially in the first days after you've launched that campaign, that you keep an eye on the search terms that are actually being triggered, and add some negatives while you're seeing those trends to maybe go too broad or too generic. And then you're making basically sure that you're streamlining towards the very relevant search term for that product or your brand. And I just don't think that after, like, if your offer is solid, if you've been proven that offer has been solid through top of funnel, middle of funnel strategies in Facebook, I can't imagine not converting for Google.
Yeah,
You know,
no, I love
that's and I've rarely seen a brand that has not been successful in Google while they were successful in Facebook. But there's definitely differences in volume. That is definitely